everyone, welcome to today's video. We are at Spadina Road and Clair Avenue. Just across the way there where the green space is, that's Sir Winston Churchill Park. And further south, looking south down Spadina, that's where Cazaloma is and the Spadina Museum. This video we are going to be walking northbound on Spadina. Not sure how far I'm walking, maybe to Eglinton, maybe just short of Eglinton. We'll play it by ear. It is an incredibly beautiful clear sky, looking way up. Clear blue sky day on this beautiful Sunday. It is Sunday, April 14th. It's just after noon, about 12:15. And I thought I'd just take a short walk today. I wanted to take you through Spadina Village. I just want to pick up some flowers today. And some cut flowers that I want to put in the house. And I wanted to go for a bit of a walk, so I thought this was a perfect destination. I hope everybody is doing well. I definitely overdressed today. It was 8 when I left the house, but I tend to find I get cold. So it's better to overdress for my sake than to underdress. I just have to unzip my jacket. That's what I've done. So as I mentioned, we're walking through Forest Hill Village on this beautiful Sunday. This day is very meaningful to David and I. And I have to admit I am feeling a bit melancholy. But we'll get to that shortly. I just want to talk to you a little bit about Forest Hill Village. This was one of the first places, this little village is one of the first places I discovered when I moved to Toronto 35 years ago. And I like coming here. It's always been fairly close to where I lived, except for the brief period when I lived in Mississauga, but it's always been within walking distance from where I've lived. And at least walking distance for me. I think the furthest away that I lived from Forest Hill Village when I lived in Toronto, or living in Toronto, was Broadway Avenue and Mount Pleasant neighborhood. And I think that took me maybe 45 minutes to get here. And today, from home, I was actually walking fairly leisurely. And it was about just over half an hour, about 35 minutes to get here. This is Heath Street, that's looking eastbound, and Heath looking westbound. So there are over 60 merchants here in Forest Hill, and it's a good place for a brunch destination. And the village is nestled among some of the most stunning, beautiful homes and landscaping in Toronto. It's like its own little small village in a big city. Spadina, or this village, was first known as Spadina Heights. The name changed in 1939 to Forest Hill. There are beauty salons and spas, there's restaurants, at least 4 restaurants, I think Sofra and Edo. Oh, and there's Banffy Pizza, which is not on Montclair, which is right here on the corner. I think it's 1 block north on Lonsdale to the west. And I remember Banffy Pizza because when I first moved here, a friend who lived in this neighborhood actually just on Montclair. She had an apartment here on Montclair. And we used to often come to Banffy Pizza because it was affordable and had a cool vibe, and it was close to both of our apartments. And I think I've been back, so that was like the early 90s we used to come here, and then I think I came here once with David and have not been back. But I wouldn't mind coming back. Cafe Landwer. This used to be Amore Coffee, I think, so I don't know when this changed over. Probably from the last year, I suspect. And there used to be a shoe store across the way there. I think it was in Forest Hill Optical. There used to be a shoe store many, many moons ago. And here is a Mediterranean grill, Mashu Mashu. Okay, I'm going to take a pit stop in here to pick up some flowers. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So now we're at the corner of Lonsdale and Spadina. They've recently renovated the Scotia Bank. And just down Lonsdale there, just beside where you see Spa and Salon, there is a, right beside there, I think that's where Banffy Pizza is. So to walk the heart of the village, you can do that in less than 15 minutes. You see all the shops and merchants. It's really, really busy here most of the time, especially on the weekends. The summer, like all the outdoor cafes are all filled up. People are out and about, walking their furries. Yeah, so today's walk, we start at St. Clair, and maybe up to Eglinton I'll take you. So this area, Forest Hill Village, is spanning a short stretch of Spadina Road around Lonsdale Avenue. Forest Hill Village is part of Forest Hill, the larger community. And it's a neighborhood that is bordered by Cedarvale Ravine on the west, Avenue Road on the east, St. Clair Avenue on the south, and Briar Hill Avenue on the north.
Girls, come back. We got our bags here. Come on. Come here.
This parking lot has been here for as long as I've been here, so at least 35 years. I don't anticipating it being really much, staying here much longer, because this is prime real estate. I could be wrong, but I can't see it sitting here indefinitely. There's some lovely old apartment buildings here. No idea what they look like on the inside, but I've always been partial to this one right here where the camera is angling. I just love the exterior. I like the windows. Just very calming coming here. Takes me back. I've been coming here, like I mentioned, since I moved here. So 35 years I've been coming to Forest Hill Village. Either to cut through to get to Loblaws on Bathurst, or to come specifically to Forest Hill Village for anything specific. And this apartment complex, it's been shut for a couple of years now at least. But they were fairly active, or they were lived in rather. up until a few years ago. And there are plans. There used to be a sign here. I don't know if you can see that framework there. There used to be a sign here. I think it had Cohen, the builder, if anybody who's familiar. I think the builder's name, I think his last name is Cohen, a developer. And I think there was a sign here saying that he was developing here. I think it was his sign. Anyhow, there was a development sign. So when they plan on fixing that, refurbishing it, maybe tearing it down, maybe, I wonder. Anyhow, so today, as I mentioned earlier, feeling a bit melancholy, we had a lovely little dog. He was 2.6 kilograms. That's around 6 pounds. He was a little Yorkshire Terrier. He was born in November 28th, actually, 2004. And we adopted him when he was about 4 months old. And we named him Fizzix, spelled Fizzix. And he was like the best little dog. He was just a lovely dog. Both David and I had dogs when we were children. And then since moving to Toronto, well, even before moving to Toronto, I had been without a dog. This home is beautiful. Too bad it's on such a busy road, but it is beautiful from the exterior. I can only imagine how gorgeous it is on the inside. So when I moved to Toronto, I didn't have any animals because I was working a lot. I worked long hours, and I used to bring home work and did work on the weekends. I was just all in. And then that carried out really throughout my work life in the corporate environment. And then we got our dog in 2005. And then I stayed working in the corporate environment for another 5 years. And I had realized that I no longer wanted to work in the corporate world. We were pretty much debt-free at that point, so I didn't need to continue contributing to a mortgage that we no longer had. Day of celebration. Anyway, I was tired of working in the corporate world and tired of the job that I was doing, and felt really restless. But more importantly, I was inspired actually by my dog Fizzix to do something different. And it was because of my love for him that I quit my corporate job, went back to school, and ended up working with animals. And I did that for another 5 years once I got out of school, and then I retired. But it was because of him. He was a huge influence in my life. This little, 2 kilogram little animal had a huge impact on me. Huge. You really realize what's important in your life is, and for me, it was my gorgeous dog. I'm going against the light, kind of. Now it says walk, so I'm safe. Anyway. And I loved being a dog mom. And he used to love his walks. He used to love his backyard. He was a cuddle bunny dog. He just loved to cuddle, and he slept with us. I know that chagrins some people, but we were totally fine with that. Our dog slept between David and I, and we loved every second of it. He was a feisty dog. He loved to eat, and I had to, of course, manage his calorie intake because he's a small dog and he loved to eat, and he would always eat if he could. But Yorkies, as any dog or person for that matter, if you eat too much, they, you gain weight. And he couldn't afford to gain weight because Yorkies tend to have hereditary, not even hereditary, I think it's just bred in them, just part of their makeup, that their tracheas over time weaken and tend to collapse. And dog tracheas are shaped like a C, like that, and over time it will tend to collapse. And so it should be like this, but then over time his started to collapse, and so we had to manage his weight, so no heavy breathing. And after a while, walks were out of the question, and this would have been the last year of his life. Walks were out of the question because we didn't want him to exert. And even taking the stairs, we put up a baby gate because we didn't want him taking the stairs, because that was, even for us, taking the stairs can make us breathe heavy, and we couldn't have him panting. So we catered, of course, to his health concerns. We had an option it's like a mesh that they could put into the trachea that's collapsing like this and expand it and keep it expanded. But the odds, or at least the success rate of those lasting, or even being that successful, weren't that great. And considering his age, and with discussion with our veterinarian, we didn't do that surgery. And over the last 6 months, we started noticing, he wasn't sleeping with us anymore. And he wasn't even that, looking for cuddles that much anymore. Now, in part, granted, it could have been because we took in a foster cat. We were fostering her because no one was adopting her. And she had, a bit of bit of an attitude, some would call behavior issues. But I fell in love with her. And she was an older cat. We got her at 10 years old, and we ended up having her for 4 years. And I think when Dory Bell entered the home, I think Fizzix was maybe a bit put off. They avoided each other, like there was no love there. But I think that's when I sort of noticed a bit of a change with him. But it became more apparent the last 6 months. That's when he stopped sleeping with us. Anyhow, we had in the February of that year, that was February 2019, he was going into a really health concern issue with his trachea. We took him to a vet, then I took him to a specialist, and it was inevitable he was going to pass. I didn't. Now look at here. These are a magnolia tree. Look at the blooms starting to bloom on that tree. Beautiful. I'm looking for opportunities to gather my emotions by talking about something else. But it's important for me. I need to talk about him today. So if this isn't your thing, maybe now's the time to tune out. The specialist, like they said, it's inevitable. He was, 14, he was 14 years and about 2 months at that point. And, then he seemed to, kind of recover from that episode. He had an episode of heavy breathing and he couldn't gain control of proper breathing. And so that's why we took him to the vet and then the specialist. And I knew that his time was going to be short. I didn't want him to pass because he couldn't breathe. So stayed close by. At this point, I had already retired. So I retired in 2018. And that summer, that summer, and I spent, 9 months with him, I think. And so it was good to be home with him. This is before, because I retired in July, he passed in April, so I had that time, just he and I, and David was still working. And so then he ended up passing around 6 weeks later, I think. It was 5-year anniversary today. So for the last month, and this happens every year, at the beginning of every year, I think about the passing of our cat who died in January, that little feisty cat that we had fostered. She passed just over a year before Fizzix, so she was in January, I think of her. And then when middle of March comes, I think about the passing of Fizzix. Is anticipated like a month. In about a month I start thinking about it even more than I do normally. And today is significant because it is the anniversary of his passing, but it's been 5 years. It's been quick in many aspects, but it's also been forever as well. Okay, here we are, Spadina and Old Forest Hill Road. I don't know if I'll go all the way to Eglinton. We'll see. I might shoot down one of the roads and we can admire some of the beautiful homes. This day 5 years ago, it was the opposite of today. Oh, there goes a cardinal, a female cardinal. Ooh, so lovely. So April 14th, 2019 was freezing, windy, cold, blowing snow. Incredibly, incredibly cold. So we called a vet. It was a Sunday as well. It was a Sunday, April 14th, 2019. And so we got in contact with a vet who would come to your home, assess the situation, and take whatever next steps were needed. I was going to walk down Old Forest Hill Road, or Forest Hill Road rather, but you know what, I'm changing my mind and I want to walk to Eglinton. I'll take you to Eglinton. And anyhow, this lovely vet came to our house, and she said right away she could smell it in the house that, you know, they would know. She said that she could smell kidney issues, not because of urine, but and I guess I did notice the smell, but I didn't until she mentioned it. It didn't really register with me that my dog had this new odor emitting from him, and it was, I think she said, kidney failure or something to do with the kidneys. And so when she wasn't our regular vet, she was an emergency vet that does what she did that day with us, or any other health problems with your animal when it's, you know, during the off hours, because it was a Sunday. And so she, you know, she did a quick assessment. She knew Fizzix history because we shared all of that with her, everything with her. And of course we were forever hopeful. But she did tell us that he probably should go down, be euthanized. Anyhow, she gave him some ice cream because he didn't eat that day. And he didn't want to go outside to go to the bathroom because he always wants to go outside to go to the bathroom. He doesn't like to go in the house. And so I got his favorite blanket, and David and I were sitting on the couch, and she was sitting next to us, and I had that beautiful dog in my arms, wrapped in his blanket, and she injected him, I think, with 2 needles. One to, I think, put him to sleep, and then the other to stop his heart. And it was over. And of course, she took him away, and that was a very solemn day. And we did get his ashes, and we also have his paw print in clay and framed, and he's on our, you know, picture mantle with all our other family pictures, and that little paw's there. Adorable. You know, when I look at him, I smile. Like, there's nothing sad. It's just he brought a world of wealth and knowledge and understanding and a new level of compassion and education into my life that I would not have had if it wasn't for him. And I will forever be grateful that he was in my life, that little dog. This video is dedicated to Fizzix. Okay, we're at Spadina Road in Eglinton West, and this is where this video will end. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next video. This is Boomer Girl Walking, signing off.